I started back at ASU in 2018 officially, although I had visited the campus multiple times in the previous years. But it was like landing on Mars. This red rock, this heat, but everything was new. I was moving from Australia, so it wasn't just moving to a new country, a new state, but a new job as well. So I moved when my kids were 7, 9, and 14, and bringing them along on this journey was quite incredible because I saw Arizona and ASU through their eyes and through my own experience, but it was like landing on a red rock. So I really enjoyed the newness about it, and everything that it came with. There are so many experiences I'm grateful for at ASU and the Knowledge Enterprise. I don't even know where to begin. Everything is an experience. Everything is new. Everything is inspiring. I don't think I've ever sat at a table where I've been bored. But if I was to name a couple of projects, it definitely has to be our National Research Training NSF grants, worth $3 million each, where we've seen students come into the program, diverse students, really succeed in their goals over their 3 to 4 year PhDs, and also do something about smart cities and medical bionic devices and their regulation. So we've seen people come into the program, develop through the program, graduate into the workforce. And I couldn't be prouder as a supervisor. But there is another project which doesn't really involve students that I've enjoyed greatly. And it hasn't really been funded through an NSF grant as such, but it was working with the Lincoln Ethics Center on the future of work and focusing our attention on care through very unique design studios. That was led by the late Gaiman Bennett and also Elizabeth Langland as co-directors of this project. And a big shout out to Elizabeth Grunbach and also Erica O'Neill, who just made reflection of these incredible concepts of what did COVID do to us and what does it mean about the future of work, which crystallized so many things in my mind. But people from Silicon Valley, people from all over the US in academic institutions, from government agencies represented in these design studios, coming together to honestly and authentically reflect on what does it mean about our future. That has to be my major highlight. Well, it's hard not to find inspiration within ASU. You're inspired at every turn. Uh, I love meeting new people at ASU. I love meeting visitors who drop by at ASU. They're world experts. But you find inspiration everywhere, in dialogue with students, in dialogue with colleagues, in dialogue with professional staff, in dialogue with people from the street that might visit Hayden Library. It seems like it's a hub of communication that's open. People are very friendly and people are willing to share what they're working on. So I'm constantly inspired. It begins, I think, with our president, who has been the cornerstone of our design aspirations. And we feel open to being able to adopt these in our everyday work and see them through our lived experience and professional expertise. So everywhere, I would say, you're inspired. And people often ask me, what is it about ASU? Why is it #1 in innovation? And I always say it's because it's always changing. It's always moving forward, and it's always looking at diverse collaborative opportunities. Secret talents. They used to be secret before I came to ASU, but they somehow fished them out of me. One of the things about ASU is that you're considered the whole person. When you come to ASU, you're not this singular disciplinary professional that can only do one thing. And I think in the previous institutions I've been part of, there've also been comprehensive universities, but they haven't really wanted a computer scientist or someone's working in augmented reality to be really having multiple talents from the humanities and otherwise. You're siloed because our ranking systems are somewhat siloed across the world. But at ASU, you're basically told to confess what your secret talents are and to become the whole person, to be able to display these, because there's nothing to be ashamed of, but also it's a strength of ASUs in order to provide greater insights into the interpretation of challenges that we all face in the world and that we're trying to address through our writing, through our research, through our grants, our ethics proposals, and so forth. So I would like to say that I've started to do more poetry and live poetry at Knowledge Enterprise. I've done a few competitions, had some commendations, and had some great feedback about how that sort of has brought together some of the underlying research concepts that I study. So it's been wonderful to be able to share those with the world and with my colleagues, and to feel that there's a strength that I bring to the table. It's an additional dimension of who I am as a researcher. If I have any advice to colleagues, it's always to encourage them to persevere and to identify goals that they want to achieve, that nothing is impossible. At ASU, we try to provide, I think, enough support to academics for them to achieve their goals. We have people on the professional side constantly helping us to put together proposals, for example, or to get support for teaching in terms of teaching assistants. There's a lot of support, so long as you can identify what those goals are. I'd say reach for the sky and don't limit yourself. The other thing is to be patient. Things don't happen overnight. And we are encouraging one another to think longer term. I think short-term wins are great, but a longer-term project life cycle is more important. And then you can splice your sub-projects into that long-term horizon. But, long-term change takes time, takes budget, and we need to strategize about this and to be patient, to mobilize resources and to help one another towards these goals. But it's never to give up and to keep striving. And the sky is the limit. I think I have to underscore that. But to back yourself as well. I think a lot of people um, don't have that support at other institutions, but at ASU, you are told to believe in yourself and to believe in those uh, global challenges, that all change is local, of course, but that we can scale. But amazingly, we're supported by SkySong and many other entities within the university to achieve our goals. So keep striving and keep persevering. And if you don't get it that first time, whatever it is, a grant or otherwise, or a paper that's published in a highly ranked journal, just keep chipping away at that goal. You will achieve it with ASU support. I think our knowledge enterprise is changing the way things are done in the world. For me, it means transdisciplinarity. I come from a transdisciplinary school, the School for the Future of Innovation in Society, and I believe in this transsectoral, trans-institutional, transdisciplinary, trans-paradigmatic approach to things. It's about bringing multiple voices together from different perspectives to share their ideas and their reflections and their ways forward, their methodologies, their research hopes, the way that they conduct research and collaborate. And I think KE is telling us it's very good and encouraged to actually have multiple stakeholder consultation, multiple voices at the table, whether that's from academia, fusing with industry, fusing with government agencies around a decision theatre about a particular problem, where it might be as well bringing in advocacy organizations that look at sort of your not-for-profit or non-government approaches to business, and even the media. This is a holistic approach. We don't silo our projects into saying, oh, we just do this in academia, we publish in, papers that are behind paywalls, and may the citizens not worry about what we write. It's the opposite, and that's glorified, I guess, in the way our campus is laid out in multiple areas. We are integrated together, both on the campus and with our local constituencies, our households down the road, our cafes are integrated onto our campuses. We live that and we research that at the same time. And we can see that in major relationships with cloud providers, with ASU, with collaborative tools and ASU, and even with retailers and ASU. I mean, I'm not going to name any, there's too many to name, but we're doing this in a knowledge enterprise where we're lifting one another at the same rate and that we're addressing problems that matter to people. It's not about, finding out something that won't be of benefit to society. We are very much societally driven and user-centered driven and stakeholder driven. And I think that comes out not only in our design aspirations, but also the projects that we are tracked through the National Science Foundation or the NIH. I think as transdisciplinary researchers, we live our craft, and at ASU, we've been taught to be comprehensive and holistic. We don't turn up to work and leave a part of our personal life behind. We don't turn up to work and negate all the interests that we have that may not be academic as such, but maybe couched in practice. We're told to come imbued with the whole person. And I think that's really special because in many other institutions, you're told to leave your personal interests behind. But when you're able to fuse your personal interests with your research interests, with life interests, family interests, uh, your research becomes more meaningful. So as a transdisciplinary scholar, you do have a life world that's complex. You know, at home, I could be a mum, a wife, a daughter, a granddaughter. At work, I may be a professional in the context of my qualifications, but I also may be an advocate for a privacy organization like the Australian Privacy Foundation. And then I may be part of an institution like the IEEE, the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers, that has a focus on many diverse technical aspects. But we bring the whole person, multiple life worlds together when we work at the knowledge enterprise. And that notion of knowledge enterprise often is not well understood outside our gates. Uh, Knowledge is that which we pursue through academic fortunes, and enterprise is something that we do in business, isn't it? But when we bring together academia and enterprise, and I would say government agencies with other stakeholders, what we're doing is capitalizing on problem solving and the way we can address those challenges that are identified in the UN Sustainable Development Goals and many other goals that are being identified now throughout the world for global development. I've really felt empowered by the knowledge enterprise at ASU. And one of the things that's empowering is that if you have an idea, that idea can go through the stages of problem identification and design and delivery. You see it through the whole of that design life cycle phase. And I would like to say that one of the things I take on through this change is that change is forever present. I do remember studying John Keats and the odes to a Grecian urn and the other odes to a nightingale and so forth. And it was all about changeability and change. Well, if change is ever present, we can't stop time. We can't freeze things, even in the process of change management. But I think KE has uh, definitely demonstrated that we can change in a methodical way to reach goals, but that we shouldn't be afraid of change. Change is something that is ever present. And especially now when we think about business transformation in the world and organizations, transnational organizations that are going through this digital transformation, this business transformation, change is ever present, but there is some interaction that happens between society and technology and ethics and regulation and so much more that we need to be able to design for. It's no longer a time that we can say, oh, it's too hard, things are changing too fast, the pacing problem is overtaking us, too much technology is being rolled out too quickly and society can't catch up. This is about how we do adopt that change or that spirit of change to say, well, how is life going to be from now on in the next 100 years? That change will only accelerate, but what kinds of processes can we build to sustain us in the longer term? Well, what's next? I wish I was a seer to be able to identify that, but I am in the School for the Future of Innovation in Society, so I better have a good answer for what's next. I think the future is always exciting. Our tagline in the school is "The future is for everyone." And I think building new tools for science and science policy and technology policy is really important. I want to think about how to be more inclusive as a society and how to uh, consult more members of society, not just representative. You know, we can't launch surveys to every household every time we want to study something or some phenomena. The question is, how do we approach stakeholder consultation with respect, with dignity, and with um, understanding the responses that do come back? And for those who don't have the capacity to respond, what other mechanisms can we find to provide some kind of feedback. I've recently investigated the potential for risk registers to be adopted, and for people's consultation to be logged openly and publicly in a way for us to build better governance structures. But deep down, I think my hope is to build bridges between our large institutions like the AAAS, like the AAG, like the IEEE, the NSF, the NIH, the NAE, the PIT-UN network, the Public Interest Technology University Network, and so many other global organizations, where we might say, okay, we have membership in silos still. How can we go transdisciplinary at scale in some of the world's biggest institutions that have hundreds of thousands of membership, and to bring these brains together and mobilize resources in a way that we can address those UN SDGs and say to ourselves, okay, we have propelled and prepared ourselves for the future in the best way possible. There's so many people to thank at ASU. My first 5 years and a bit now have felt more like 10 or 15 years. We've somehow managed to pack so much into the last 5 years, and I'm indebted forever to my colleagues in the School for the Future of Innovation in Society and the School of Computing and Augmented Intelligence, particularly those people even outside my school that have spent time with me, mentored me through the next stage and phase of my career as a senior professor, and also to think about the possibilities of bringing disparate or once considered disparate areas of research. I have friends in the psychology school, like Christine Athena Ectipus. There are people at the Lincoln Ethics Center that constantly are reminding me of ethics, like Erica O'Neill and Liz Grumbach. There are people in the law school like Diana Bowman and Gary Marchant who constantly are striving towards things like soft law and new innovations. And I think I'm very grateful to my directors, my current director, Eusebio Skornavasha, my interim director, Kathleen Vogel, and the man who poached me out of my former institution, Dave Guston. To all of these people, a big thank you for supporting me, and to the professional staff who've always been there to help me satisfy those needs, those immediate needs that I've had. But a big thank you to all round to the community at ASU.